The Biden administration moved quickly to tackle workplace discrimination, particularly discrimination against members of the LGBTQ community. He issued an executive order. It prohibits the federal government from discriminating against workers on the basis of sexual orientation or sexual identity. President's also reversing a ban on diversity training at federal agencies and retract the ban on transgender people serving in the military. Joining me here on the morning show, Victoria Pelletier, an expert on diversity and inclusion and co-author of the book, Unstoppable: Stories of Changemakers Who Dare to Make a Difference. Good morning and thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Of course. You experienced struggles in the boardroom as a woman in senior management and leadership positions in a number of large corporations and as a member of the LGBTQ community. So were the past 4 years frustrating for you?
For a host of reasons, yes, but I don't know how much time we have to talk about all of those. But most definitely, I just think the reason people want to come to the U.S. is because of the diversity we have, and we want to feel included and a sense of belonging. And that's where a significant amount of the frustration has come, because clearly the administration and its policies were not inclusive.
There will no doubt be new battles in the fight against LGBTQ discrimination. That said, given the Biden administration's moves, do you expect the federal government to be more of an ally than an adversary?
Absolutely. I know there's been an outcry from trans exclusionary people, particularly actually women, with regards to this. And what I can see is this moves, particularly around the transgender lift in military, is much more like Black Lives Matter. It is a statement around belonging and inclusiveness. And I do see that Biden has taken demonstrable steps. His administration is very diverse, inclusive across the board. What he's done in his first week has demonstrated that.
So realistically speaking, there are conservative lawmakers who are stirred up. For instance, they're still fighting on the issue of women in sports and schools and cite the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Supreme Court ruling. There's a hashtag floating around, Biden erased women. So while you have an ally, the fight is far from over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a lot of people recognizing, again, as I just said, the notion of Black Lives Matter doesn't mean all lives matter, but it's recognizing those who've been marginalized and their experiences. And I think the same from a transgender perspective and LGBT. This is much more a statement of inclusion than it is exclusionary. And for those that are opposed to this, again, it wasn't contemplated necessarily in the 60s and before or even beyond around transgender to the extent that it is today. But again, I think we'll look at rules and policies that are inclusionary, but things like in sports, much like, you think of boxing or others where there's, weight competitions, we're going to look at different rules, but to ensure that everyone's included appropriately.
Well, we see what's happening with the fight with immigration. And how do you get Congress to sit down and talk about this in, for lack of a better term, a gentlemanly manner?
Well, I think we need to look at, the values that as Americans we have. And the reason why, people want to be here. We want to be here. The values we have are, freedom for all. All is critical. So as we want to get both sides of the board together here, it really is about bringing it down to values, inclusiveness, and representing all our constituents across both sides of the aisle.
And all of that said, is it going to be a different world now?
I think so. I mean, we've seen the needle move in so many ways, whether it's the S&P, we now have female board representation on every single board that's listed on its exchange. It's taken a long time to get there, right? We look at Biden's administration. We look at the fact that we have a very diverse, not only female, but Black and Asian American vice president. This is demonstrable. This is important for everyone. And I do think we're going to continue to see progress made.
And we do have a member of the transgender community on the cabinet.
Absolutely. That's great, with excellent credentials as well.
Victoria, thanks for your perspective. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.